Welcome to Awaken the Minds. I'm Monica.
And I'm Mikael. Together, we're your guides on this journey of exploration and awakening.
Here on Awaken the Minds, we dive deep into the mysteries of life and beyond, from spirituality and reincarnation
to marriage, personal growth, and the secrets of the universe. And yes, we'll even talk about aliens.
Because let's face it, the truth is out there, and so is the love and wisdom we all need to evolve. So whether you're seeking answers or just curious about the unseen forces shaping our reality,
you found your tribe and the vibes.
So let's awaken the minds together.
Awaken the Minds. We hope you guys are all having an amazing day. We thank you all for tuning in to another episode on the pod. We strive and work hard to bring you guys new content and help enlighten and awaken one soul at a time. We hope to bring knowledge, insight into our spiritual journey, and we hope to enhance spiritual consciousness in the world. If you guys are new or returning, please hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, across all of our social media platforms at awakentheminds.podcast. We appreciate your support and hope with the algorithm. We hope to awaken again one soul at a time. You guys stay blessed up. Let's keep this urge strong. And as always, I'm your host, Mikael. This is my wife, Monica. And today we have a very special guest with us. He is a hypnotherapist that has studied hypnosis, shamanic journeying, and Jungian psychology. I believe I'm saying that correctly. And has used his studies to perform past life regressions and has been able to be a spirit guide to help people explore the depths of their mind. He has helped over 1,000 people reconnect with past life, uncover the spiritual wisdom that resides within them, as he has within us. His curiosity into hypnotherapy was sparked by his childhood as he was drawn to the mysteries of the mind and the unseen forces that resides within the world. He is on a mission to help guide humanity to uncover deeper meaning in life and guide them beyond the limits of the conscious mind. His goal is to empower people to access their own inner wisdom, break free from limiting beliefs, and connect to the higher conscious. Please, guys, help us in welcoming our great friend, James Guiry.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Cool. I love your energy. I think it's great what you're doing here.
Yeah, thank you.
We're just expanding consciousness. Right?
Yeah.
No, it's really cool.
That's our mission to help start awakening minds. Start
Yes.
start connecting consciousness and unconsciousness to be one.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? How are
I
you
feel
guys?
great. Yeah. Thanks for having me over here. I think this is great. Starting a conversation, right? Where, people interested in what is this, and just bringing more awareness to different topics.
Mhm.
And people are curious, man. People, they want to know more, right? They're opening their minds to new stuff that's out
Yeah, it's so
Right.
much fun.
Mhm.
It's fun
Yeah.
to see the awaken in everybody's minds and souls, like deep dive into that. And we've met you
Yeah.
before we've had you here.
Right.
Yeah, he did hypnotherapy on us.
Yeah,
So,
let's kick off with that. With our experience with you in past life regression. You want me to start? You want?
I mean, whatever you feel like.
All right. Well, you went first.
Yeah.
Just talk about your experience.
So it's so funny because I had seen you. I had searched you up because I hadn't started to get into past life regressions.
Right.
Maybe like 5 years ago. I was very into it. And then I had sent it to my brother and I was like, dude, like he does past life regressions. And my brother was like, first he had told me, he's like, you're so obsessed with like trying to learn about past lives. Like, why are you so obsessed? Like, you weirdo. And I was like, whatever, let me be, And it's so funny because then not even 2 years passed and he had told me he was going to go with you.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you not remember you called me a psycho? And so he was like, no, that's not true. That is not true. And that, whatever. So he ended up going with you. And then from there, he was like, dude, you have to do it. Like, it's super cool.
Yeah.
And, he was expanding his mind and learning more. So I was like, okay, like if my brother thinks he's cool, then I think he's cool. So cool. So then that's when I had gone with you. And I believe that that's where I was already in my journey of awakening and all of that. But I feel that you were like that missing puzzle to that part of awakening my mind and awakening who I need to be and what I need to be. And it's not just like social norms or anything like that. It's just really, really like finding the root of who you're meant to be.
Mhm.
And I feel like I found a lot of reasoning behind my actions when I had gone to you. The fear of losing family was one of my biggest ones, my fear of letting go, and just fear in general, fear of doing things. So
Yeah.
I feel that that missing puzzle, you definitely helped me put it in there, and it just has become such a big part because people think that, oh, like, you do it and you see results the next day, which you definitely can. Like, you can definitely see results and feel the results the moment you get out of your sessions. But I think now I think back at all the things that I've done, and yours was like one of the most impacting ones for myself, at least.
You did the work. You
Yeah.
came in. You have to be ready to do it. I think people when they do this work, I'm just a guide,
Mhm.
and you're getting called to dive deeper into your unconscious mind with spirit, and you're ready. People show up and they're ready, and then but you have to do the work. It's
Yeah.
not an instant like it can't. You said it can't be an instant like heal. I've seen people like immediately change. And I do my best to like help you get to that instant change, but sometimes you have to do the work and you have to like
Mhm.
Yeah.
take the action steps and you have to like, you're given a new path now. And
yeah.
are you going to do the same mistakes or the same, habits you have, or are you going to move forward and lean into your fear and move on? And now you're aware of it.
Mhm.
Do you step back or you run away from it or you lean back into it, right?
Yeah.
You're pulling the band-aid off of all that kind of limiting beliefs you have and your kind of worldview, and you're looking at it differently, but maybe from a different perspective where you can, you have more courage to
Mhm.
step into your power, you know? So yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe that's what with mine and your session, that's kind of what we uncovered,
Yeah.
which was like you said, stepping into what you fear, right?
Yeah.
The things that you fear, letting go of fear, letting go of, how you say, limiting beliefs, kind of the daily things that,
Yeah.
the thoughts, right? Like just, I wouldn't say negative thoughts, but like the thoughts that always want to make you procrastinate to derail from on whatever mission that you're on, right?
It's like the stories you have, right? We have like all these stories that we tell ourselves that we're supposed to be a certain way, our family has told us a certain way, or
Yeah.
past lives, whatever it is, but the stories we tell ourselves, and it's like, are those stories still relevant anymore?
Hmm.
Right? Like are those? Is that going to help you get where you need to get?
Right.
It's really just like standing out in the light and really deciding like what do I want to be, who do I want to be, and then doing it, moving forward.
Hmm.
But a lot of times we hold in emotions, and intellectually we could say that, right? But
Right.
like we have a lot of stuff that we hold in, and so now there's like past, just stuff that happens in our childhood, and then if we even go deeper, past life stuff. So we're carrying all this like emotional baggage with us, and we just don't know. It's like more nebulous. It's like I feel a certain way, but I can't really put a pinpoint on it. But when you kind of go into the unconscious mind, you begin to work with it, you start to realize like, oh, I'm not my emotions. Like this
Right.
is not me. It's a part of me, but I can pull back and begin to look at all these parts of me, and then I could begin to diagnose. That's because like a spiritual diagnosis.
Yeah.
You're kind of like this, like the shamans, right? If you're powerless, how do you become powerful, right? So you have to like tap into your power, but you got to let go of all this stuff that's holding you back. So it's
Yep.
finding the ego death and letting go. You could do plant medicine, you could do past lives, you could do hypnosis, you could do anything. You could, dance or trance, but I think this is you're going in, right?
Right.
You're not escaping anymore. You're going in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did the work, which is
Yeah.
great. And you guys are doing this, right? It's
Yeah.
like, and
Yeah.
this takes a lot of courage to get on camera and just to talk about topics like this, right? And put it out to the world, right? Without fear of like someone's gonna judge you, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever, it's
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah.
right? It's like you gotta say it, right?
I know. I think when we had first started, I'm a person that I just say it how it is, and sometimes that gets me in trouble. So when we had first started this, there was several people where I would have said several things and they would like take it completely wrong. We had already like a couple of like comments on TikTok where we're like, damn, I was like, it wasn't even like that. But it really comes into perspective of knowing that you're not responsible for how people perceive you, and you're just responsible when telling your truth, and either they get it or they don't. And that's like, I feel that was probably one of my biggest fears, maybe having that backlash of people telling me, oh, well, you shouldn't have said it like that. You should have said it like this. Or, and then you kind of get in your head. But then I kind of just was like, you know what? I'm going to say it how I feel like it needs to be said. And people that can resonate, or if it triggers them, then maybe it's something that they also need to work on, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you're speaking your truth, and you come from a place of like, I don't, this is how I believe, and I'm open to learning more. It's not more like dogma, where like this is how it is, right? Like this is the way it is. It's more like this is what I've experienced. It's worked for me. It may work for you, and if it doesn't, cool, right?
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
different strokes for different folks, right? At the end of the day. So,
Yeah. I know you had mentioned, obviously we're talking about our experience. You being certified hypnotherapist and all that good stuff. What have you learned in the process, and what um I would say, what things have stopped you from being greater than you are today? And have you done hypnotherapy on yourself to actually guide you through the next step and kind of release and let go?
yeah, I mean, well, I mean, by doing the work, I'm working with others that are coming to me with the same, the fears, right? The fear of moving forward, the base fear, shame, guilt, fear, anger, limiting beliefs. And so by working with people, helping them get through their stuff, listening, spirit guides come through, their past life selves come through, their awakening comes through. And so I get to learn from them, and it helps me work on my stuff. I think, fear is the biggest thing. So I would go one into my, I have to do this work. You have to do your own past life work. You have to do your own shadow work. The shadow work is key, is going in, plant medicine, I've spent, it was like a good 7-year period going to the jungle, doing all that plant medicine work. But the self-hypnosis for sure. So I'll go into an internal state. And a lot of times what I've done lately is recognizing whatever emotion is holding me back. And I recognize it as not me, but external. And I'm like, say fear comes in. I notice it. Okay, cool. Do I want to attach to that fear? Do I want to recognize it? And what I want to do with it? Choice.
Right.
Like I choose how I'm going to feel now. So like if I want to feel empowered, then I want to breathe in empowerment. So you kind of use, with hypnotic trance, basically it is shifting your brain waves into this altered state, and you're allowing yourself to kind of rewire what those thought forms are. And so now it's like, okay, what do I want to let go of? Let's say you wake up in the morning and you're feeling like, man, I'm feeling like, the negative self-talk comes in. We wake up in the morning, it's the shoulda, woulda, coulda. You should have done this. It's like when we wake up with the default mode of like, what's wrong? And you recognize it. Okay, cool. The night before, it's like, okay, what am I going to wake up to? So you choose the night before.
Yeah.
What I want to feel, right? So I wake up and I let go of what I don't need. So let's say it's fear, let it leave. What do I want? Let's say I want to feel creative, or I want to feel empowered today. Breathe that in. So you're beginning to use imagination with intention, and you shift your awareness within using self-hypnotic techniques to kind of begin to take that awareness within inside of you, and you can then rewire. And so belief's a big thing, right? If you believe it, the biology belief, which is a great book, talks about like just belief in general will change. So you got to rewire your thoughts. And but yeah, so self-hypnosis can be very helpful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, helped me a lot for sure.
Yeah, I like how you talk about how we need to transcend the emotions, right?
Yeah.
We go to sleep, we are feeling some emotion, we have thoughts coming in. We wake up in the early rising, we are feeling emotions. As soon as the brain kicks on,
Yeah.
Things start coming and going.
Right.
You can't stop. I mean, you can, but thoughts coming
No,
through.
you can't. So that I'm gonna throw that back at you. Like you can stop it. So that's I watch like the words that I say
Mm-hmm.
is that you say you can't stop it, then you're not gonna stop.
Right.
So that's you have to say to yourself, okay, what can I can do it,
Mhm.
and then so then how would you stop it?
Right.
Right. So that's like don't grab your cell phone when you wake up. Don't jump and watch television. Like you just pause for a moment and just note it. Just sit in with. Just sit
And
with
like ground yourself before getting your day started.
Yeah, I mean, like, because like we'll instantly jump and grab that phone, grab that cell phone, look at it, social media, look at the news. So you're already in a beta level brainwave.
Yeah.
You're in adrenaline and cortisol. You're already shifting to this kind of like fight or flight mode.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just sit with it for a moment, you ever been on vacation where like, you're totally chill
Mhm.
and like life is great, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to go on vacation to feel that way. You just have to decide what you're going to do when you wake up. So that first action is like, get up, don't look at your cell phone, right? Do some morning routines, maybe splash some water in your face, maybe get outside, get some vitamin D, some sunlight, maybe do some gratitudes, maybe you set your intention for the day and then you jump into what you're going to be doing, right? So
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting point of view the way you put it, because majority of the people won't see it that way. So I like how you put it in the perspective of shifting that mentality, right?
Yeah.
Just like everything, like how you're saying, because now that you can't, it's about shifting
Yeah.
your mindset. When a negative thought comes in, like for instance, to say, I'm kicking out my shoes, I'm ready to get a workout in,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, but do I really want to work out?
Yeah.
Am I feeling like I could work out, get a good workout in? How you say, start shifting those, like, what, just get it done.
Yeah.
Kind of stop the negative or limiting beliefs that you can or can't, and
Yeah.
shift that mindset to getting it done, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I like to look at when you do this work. So there's a concept of parts therapy, in ego states. When I feel like a part, say I'm not wanting to work out, I don't go, I'm not wanting to work out. I would say, what part of me doesn't want to work out? So I begin to look at it from this Buddha kind of witness standpoint of like, what part of me doesn't want to work out? And so I begin to kind of realize that, who do I want to be? Do I want to be the guy that's working out and fit? I know I'll feel better. Or do I want to entertain that part of me that just wants to be lazy, that's fearful, that's scared, that wants
Full
to
of
just
comfort.
yeah, so it's like choosing who you want to be. And like you have a choice on what you're gonna think. You
Yeah.
have a choice on what you're gonna do. And people might, people that have like a lot of like fear and a lot of like anger issues and depression, etc. I think it's choice. That's
Yeah.
hard for a lot of people. It's like
Right.
you have a choice on how to feel. Like look at Viktor Frankl, who was in a concentration camp. That guy, he overcame harsh circumstances with
Right.
choice, right? And some people didn't, right? And it's like it's hard. It's like that's an extreme case, but whatever you're dealing with in that today, just working out or depression or whatever it is, if you have a choice on how you're going to feel today,
Yeah.
and then it's just sitting with that, you're like, okay, and then you choose if you're going to go sit and not work out, it's a choice. If you're going to work out, it's a choice, and then you're not paying for those choices, but it's that choice will lead to those choices add up.
Yeah.
And guess what? Over time, 10 years later, you stop working out. 10 years later, and you didn't work out. Well, now you're sick and your body's sick. And
Yeah.
then you're going to be regretful for it.
Right.
But you made a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I feel that people don't take that in consideration as time goes by, is that every day is a choice. And every day, even choosing your partner is a choice.
Yeah.
Every day, working on your bad parts, on your good parts is always a choice. And I feel one thing that I am still getting better at is the fear to be great, the fear to tap into my talents. And I don't know if it comes from this life, because honestly, my parents have always been very, like, they want to do something, they do it. They want to they want to go above and beyond, they go above and beyond. And I grew up with my parents being very above and beyond and always doing what they needed to do to make sure that we had a better life. So to me, is if I didn't grow up seeing that my parents set up their beliefs, did I see them set up different type of beliefs that maybe are affecting me now? So I really do have to, for example, if I want to do something and I want to start a new idea, I have to really sit with myself and think, hey, I don't want to do it, but what part, like how you said, what part of me doesn't want to do it? Is it the fear? Is it the limiting belief? Which one is it? So I like to kind of do like a breath work in a sense, and then kind of go into like a very deep meditative state to the point like my hands get like very tingly.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of floating and kind of viewing how you said, like in a third party perspective. And I'm just like, okay, this is where it's coming from, but I still have a hard time.
Yeah, I mean, like we come in. I mean, think about it. Like we have past lives. If we go with the concept, we're not saying like there is past lives, but I believe it. Yes, okay. But I always say like, well, what if there were past lives? That's where the skeptics come in. Some people are like, I'm not sure if I believe in it or not. I'm like, cool with that, right? But what if there were energies in past lives that we're bringing in that are holding us back, almost like karmic baggage? Like, so there's like we're coming into this life with this baggage. Energy attachments. I've dealt with spirit attachments. What if there's energies attached to you? Not saying ghosts and stuff, but what if there's emotions, familial, ancestor, kind of like energies that are attached to us, just the stuff we have dealt with in our life. So we have all this kind of like stuff that we're dealing with. And then a lot of times, like if I don't like how I'm at, where I'm at, I envision a version of me, say 10 years from now. If I don't let this go, if I keep doing what I'm doing, what am I like? And I'll do this in sessions with people. I'll go, imagine a version of you 10 years from now who never changed. What is that person like? Guarantee you, you don't like that person. You're like, oh. I go, well, what if you were to let go of that today? What's that person like? And they're like, oh, that person, I like that person. Then what do you want to do? And so everyone chooses who they want to be. Great. And what are you going to do? What do you need to do right now to let go of it? So I guess once you see the future, it's like sometimes we have blinders on. And like we're doing the same habits, the same routines that we know that are holding us back. There's like I always say, there's three things that you can let go of. I guarantee you, there's 3 habits that you have. If you let it go today and added 3 new positive habits, your life would be different.
Yeah.
And so I ask myself, I get a reminder every week that pulls up, what are the 3 things I need to let go of? In a year from now, what would my future self say to me today? Right. And so I kind of remind myself daily of what I need to let go of. And if I do, or if I don't, what the consequences could be of those actions. It keeps you honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Do you, if you don't mind sharing, what do you think are 3 habits that you are currently battling with that you need to let go of to be a better you in the 10 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like alcohol for sure.
Okay.
Not that I have an alcohol problem. I think
That's it. Cut it out.
but I feel like my family, there's alcohol, and a lot of families have that. But I realize like alcohol, any kind of cannabis use, and just I think the fear was also another one of letting these go, like moving, like saying my truth, like being here and talking to you guys about this. I had like for years I couldn't like speak that truth because I was afraid of like judgment. Right. We all have that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Have
being
that state,
criticized.
right?
Yeah. So like deciding like those, like I was like, what is something that I would lean as a crutch, right? Like, even come home at night, maybe it's every couple of days, we have a glass of wine or a little whiskey or something, but it just turns into that habit, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like deciding to let those go.
Mm.
And we all have, everyone has certain addictions, right? Everyone, there's what I always it's I think it was Hawking's, I forget the guy's name, the muscle test, where you kind of get a sense of like, if this is something that's going to bring my energy up, do I feel energized, right? Do I feel like empowered with it? Or if I'm doing it, it brings me down afterwards, right? Do I feel like, oh, I shouldn't be doing that? Well, then recognize it.
Yeah.
If it's something that brings you down, maybe you binge eat, right?
Yeah.
Eating, you're like, I feel like crap afterwards.
Yeah.
okay, we'll recognize that. You're going to keep doing it again, right?
Yeah.
And so you decide like what is going to bring my energy up, what's going to bring it down. But
Right.
sometimes it's easier said than done, right? It's like, oh yeah, you shouldn't binge eat. And it's like, I should and I should. You can go years saying that, right?
And you still don't change it.
You don't. Well, then it's like, okay, do you have to like sit with it and go, where is this coming from? Is it a past life? Is there something behind this that's causing that?
That's so
So you have to
crazy.
kind of go
Yeah.
into that.
So it's interesting you're talking about that because have you heard of Dolores Cannon?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm like infatuated by her right now. So I've been like listening to most of her books. And right now that you were talking about the binge watching, she had done a hypnosis on a lady that she would drastically eat all the time. And she was just like, I don't know, like I feel depressed and I eat. I'm happy and I want to eat. Like I'm always eating. I'm like, I get it. 'Cause me too. But she was saying that they got to the root of it, and she used to be a very rich lady in one of her past lives, and she used to make other people go hungry. So now her karmic cycle in this life is to know what it was to overeat, or if not eat as much, and kind of learn how to find that balance, because she has to get rid of that karma that she ended up causing other people pain for not sharing their food and starving other people. And it was so interesting because I was like, that's crazy, because you literally don't even realize that even little events like that in your past life, because obviously everything's happening at the same time. So it's how can we do this in this realm to make it better, to make sure in the next realm, which is the future, we don't experience these things anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of like we were learning from the past. And I don't even know if is there a past, right? You know, kind of like quantum, you know, it's like, is there like, so like we think of linear times, like past, present, future, but is it all happening at the same time? Like kind of like the galaxy, kind of everything's spiraling. So it's like past, future, present are all happening. And so maybe the past is happening at the same time the present is happening. So, but I do believe that if you can figure out the lessons in that past, right, then you could heal the now, right? Then you could heal the future. Maybe it's all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What about you? What are 3 habits that you feel that you need to work on in this life to be able to have a better future in 10 years?
Well, I guess one for me was how we spoke about earlier, which was letting go. I guess letting go of control. I've always been like, you know, since a child, I've just always been in control of my life, that I have trouble letting go of the wheel, you know, and letting someone else take the wheel for some time.
Yeah.
I know that's one of them. Procrastination was one, but I've been getting a lot much better at that. So for now, I think it'd be those two
And there's no third one?
that I can think of.
Oh, let me see.
Well, maybe my,
Anything for you.
well, for sure, like my emotional, I guess, understanding of my emotions. That was also a big part because, you know, growing up in my household, nobody was like loving, nobody would communicate. So five love languages was out the window. It was just one language. Everybody speaks the same language, and that's that.
Yeah.
So I would say that.
100% better at it. But I remember when I used to hug him or like give him like a random kiss in the cheek, he'd be like, he's like, what the fuck? You know, but definitely it has gotten better. And what do you think, bettering those 3 habits, what do you think would be better for you in 10 years? How do you think you could be a better person? How do you see your future in 10 years? Bettering those 3 habits.
Well, I mean, it'll better every part of every part of my life, right? Be much more grounded, much more emotional intelligent, and just bringing that level of fear to fear of nothing.
Yeah, 100%. Love that for you.
And you guys are good. You're self-aware. You're working with each other. You know, you're a couple that's doing this work together, right? So you're continually thinking about how can I be better? How can I be a better person? And being kind to yourself daily, right? So you're not kind of, you know, stuck in your own mind. You'll see a lot of couples that are like, one spouse might be more awakening, right? The other one's like, stuck in their own thought patterns and their own beliefs. And, in the fact that both of you are open,
Mhm.
that's very healing, right?
It
You're
is.
getting it better and better, right? And just being kind to yourself, don't get a bit angry, and
Yeah, we usually always communicate like we hardly watch any TV,
Yeah.
but we're not really like distracted at all times.
Yeah.
We're always usually doing something,
Yeah.
whether it's getting our routine in, um, learning something, just always striving from getting away from all the distractions,
Yeah.
right? That's usually what's helped our relationship, just always staying in communication. Obviously, if there's something I'm failing in, she'll bring that up. Same thing if she's failing in something, we'll bring that up to each other and just talk about how we can advance or like work on those sort of things. Because at the end of the day, they're habits, whether we're conscious of them or not, right?
Mhm.
And as much as they would say, "Oh, you got to look at yourself in the mirror," but sometimes we can't see past our own nose because we're we've programmed ourselves to see a certain way.
Yeah.
But until someone else sees those or sees beyond what you see, is when then you can help and transcend yourself to a better person.
Yeah.
maybe others can help you, and that's why like therapy
Mm.
or being with someone, they can kind of show you whenever you get angry at something or
Mhm.
whenever something frustrates you. I have to ask myself, why am I being frustrated? Why? What? Instead of blaming the person, it's like, okay, what part of me is upset about? So other people can help you maybe see what you're not seeing.
Yeah.
You get to like, really, uh, it's like the mirror is like fogged up. And once you clean the mirror up, you might not like exactly what you see,
Right.
but at least you're seeing yourself for what you really are.
Mm.
And then you could change.
You have kids, right?
I have step up.
You have a stepdaughter?
Yep.
Okay. You don't have any kids of your own?
No.
Do you feel that if you did have any kids of your own, you would see a lot of reflection of things that you have to work on still? It would be kind of layering a different onion.
I think, still having family, I don't really look at like blood relatives as like having either, step kids or real kids. I
Right.
think you're learning from everyone that's in your life, right?
Yeah.
From children, to other people's kids, to your family. So I feel like just having those people in my life, I'm learning.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I don't, I think people think I need a kid to be happy or I need this to be happy. I'm like, I'm looking at this on a longer game.
Yeah.
So, this from my perspective, it's
Yeah.
like if I feel like I've been around for a long time and I feel like I have a long time to go. I'm looking, okay, who's in my karmic, kind of like my soul group now, who is
Mhm.
involved in my soul group, and what do I need to learn and how can I be better and how can I die? When I die, the goal is to like not add any more karma. They say
I love
karma.
that.
Karma is like adding debt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The debt as we come into it, right? And then the dharma is credit.
Mhm.
So the goal is like burn off karma. I want to settle some debts, right? Learn my lessons, not repeat them, not add more. Follow my dharma, follow my path, follow my purpose, right? Everyone wants to follow their purpose, but really following it and doing it. And the goal is like when you end your life, go, I'm good, right? Like I'm good. Like I feel like the debts are clear and I can move on to that next life with like a little bit. I want to graduate from
Mhm.
5th grade. I don't want to repeat it,
Right.
right? So I want to maybe get to high school, right? You know what I'm saying? So
Maybe college.
yeah, let's get past this level. So yeah, it's just
Yeah.
I love that. I love how you put that in perspective because I feel that a lot of people and I think I've seen it less now where people feel that they have to have kids to be happy or see something they need to reflect on.
Yeah.
Like in my genuine thought is I feel that I don't need to have kids to really look past my nose, like how he says. I feel that everybody is a reflection of what I am and what I need to work on. So I really love that you brought that up because I feel very similar to you when it comes to that, where I'm just like, I don't feel that there's a need to have kids, especially if I'm still working on my current karma and I'm still working on my dharma, and I'm still working on a lot of things. Like, it's for example, like, why would you want to add more debt? Because having kids is gonna eventually add more probably debt.
Well, I mean, some people are like biologically here to like, hey, they feel like they have to have a kid. Sometimes there's some karmic stuff, like maybe like you have a contract, you've already like a soul contract where you have to have a child. And that child's like, we agreed, and so it's gonna happen. It's like almost inevitable. You're gonna have that kid, but it's like it's gonna happen regardless. But instead of like either I don't have one or I have one, you're just it's going to play out the way it is. But you look at it, whatever happens, you look at it from that standpoint.
That's a good
I like how you put that in perspective about how we can carry some karmas from a past life. It's funny, when we embarked on our plant medicine journey, I was able to access the Akashic records.
Yeah.
And in that moment, it pretty much helped me see one of my past lives. I guess put it in that perspective of why in this life I tend to forget a lot of things. And I'm sure it has to do with many other things, but it showed me a past life of when I used to be like an overseer of like some planet, stuff like that.
He was like a wizard, like a
And-
wizard of the universe,
Yeah.
which
And
is interesting.
in that life, like everything I started off good, and then I started seeing the power that I had, which I ended up having that power and using that power for other things not good, right? And then in order for me to clear that karma from that life, moving forward, it told me that I had to forget. I had to forget those things because I wasn't using it for good. So to clear my debt was to forget.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to forget. I think we come into this life where like remember everything. I think what hold us back. Remember, even when you remember stuff, even when you have past life memory, it's still almost like it's from the past. Where like, if you have a memory of like, say when you're a kid, right? It's there, but you're still dealing with what you're dealing with today. You're dealing with like working and paying the bills and your health and everything. It's there. It helps you at least understand maybe a bigger play of what you need to be doing today. But like right now, today is the most, this very moment right now is the most important.
Yeah.
That's why people say, why do I go into past lives? Isn't the present the most important? I go, yeah, you're right. The present's the most important, but having some perspective of like what had happened or what you need to let go of, that just only helps you deal with what you're dealing with now. Gives you perspective.
That's so cool.
So, can you share your journey into hypnotherapy and what drew you to that field?
Yeah, so I was 17, 18 years old, and I had a book I found a book that it synchronistically got drawn towards this book. Look at it that way. So there's a book on hypnosis. 17 years old. I was like, oh, this is cool, right? And I turned to a chapter and it says past lives. I had no idea what past lives were, but I was like, I think I need to do this for some reason. And so the next day, I took the initiative. I got a buddy of mine. He was like, I go, I'm gonna do a hypnosis on you. He was 17 years old, didn't really know anything about it at all. So I guided him into 3 past lives. He was a leper. It was interesting because he was walking, and I'm guiding him. He goes, I'm walking, and there's a bell in my hand. Oh, why is there a bell? We realized the bell was signaling to the tribe that there was a leper coming. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And we're kind of putting the pieces together. We have no idea. We're kind of 2 kids doing this. The next life he goes into, he's an astronomer, French astronomer. The church throws him in this sewage pit and he dies. And he actually spoke French, which was interesting. And then the next life, he's this, he's just a normal Texan guy in the 1950s, driving down a road on a bridge. Ends up driving off the bridge, kills himself because he was drinking. And it was just random, these random lives. So that was my first time ever doing it. And I was like, wait a second, what is this?
Did you learn it from the book?
Yeah. I mean, so I look at it like, did I learn it from the book? I kind of, in perspective now, in hindsight, I think I've already known it. It was just guiding me to do it, right?
Kind of like
Because other,
reconnect with that.
yeah, because other books I've read, I don't grab it and go immediately do it without any knowledge. But for me, it was like, do it, read it, and I intuitively knew what to do.
That's so cool.
And then my roommate, he was a really nice guy, very he was very religious, and I got into a past life, and he goes, "I'm drowning my wife." So he kills his wife and his kid, drowns them, and then kills himself. In that life,
Oh my
he comes
gosh.
out, he's crying, and like I'm like, wow, like this is way beyond what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So I kind of paused a little bit because I'm like, I need, maybe I'm dabbling into it where I'm not completely prepared for it. So
You got scared.
I was just like more like I was scared, but also I was just scared, but I was like, this is maybe this bigger than me.
Yeah.
So I took a little break from that, and then when I went back into it, I got formal training and everything. So yeah, I mean, everyone can do it. I mean, it's like right there. You don't realize how easy it is to tap into a past life,
That's so cool.
and yeah, so that's how I got in.
Mm, that's so cool.
Like that.
When so when you do past lives,
Mhm.
and I'm pretty sure you've seen thousands of people, and what is something that, how do I put this? So do you see a pattern? For example, that guy that he was religious, your buddy, and he was religious in this life. Do you think the reason he was religious in this life was because he was trying to repent from that past life?
Yeah, I mean, like, so his personality was jovial, happy, the nicest guy I've ever met, right? This being like the guy that's like, look, the pleaser, right? You meet someone that's like just willing to make you happy.
Yeah.
And the life that he was before was cold, heartless, calculated, just no positivity at all. And so my impression was that he's now coming back in going like, I can't be that guy. I gotta
Yeah.
be the opposite. And so that makes sense, right? So
Yeah, that
you know, you kind of you have a lifetime where you've learned lessons, and you have to come into this life of like, okay, what can I do differently? What's my what do I need to change?
Mhm.
Right. You know?
So cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. You know, many people think that hypnosis is like mind control, right? Or a stage trick.
Yeah.
How how does real hypnotherapy differ from what we see today? Well, you know, pop culture, entertainment.
Yeah, like stage hypnosis.
Mm.
So all hypnosis is self. So what I mean by that is like, so um, you're hypnotizing yourself. I'm not hypnotizing you. I have no power over you. So when you look at like stage shows, like Anton Mesmer was kind of this authoritative hypnosis, like you were under my spell, and so people thought that they were under his spell, but
Mm.
you're actually hypnotizing yourself. So hypnosis is it's simple. It's like a movie. So it's focused awareness. So you gotta be focused on something, right? So TV, movies, reading your cell phone, you look at your phone and you're like bump into somebody. So you're in a kind of a trance state when you're focusing, right? And then the other part would be a bypass of analytical thinking. So you're not analyzing, you're not trying to like critique it and like try to understand it as far as like proving it's wrong or not. A movie is a good example. So you see a movie, you watch the movie, screen goes, you know, whoever used to go to movie theaters back in the day, right now it's like, but you know, go to the movie theater, lights go down, people eating popcorn, making noises, but you're watching that screen and all of a sudden you focus on that screen.
That's so funny.
And so get that focused awareness. But then the movie starts and you get into it, right? You're like, you feel the movie, right? I was watching like Guardians of the Galaxy a couple years ago and I was totally into it. Squirrel's dying and I'm crying. I know part of me, right, is like, I know I'm watching the movie. So, but I'm not analyzing. So
Right.
that's kind of the concept of hypnosis. But it's really, can you follow instructions, right? Can you follow instructions? You want me to hypnotize you really quick?
Okay.
Cool. All right. Cool.
Oh,
All right. All right. Cool.
guys, this is
Yeah,
like
cool. I mean, it's easy, right? All right, cool. So, all right, so I'll hold this for you. So let's do it really quick. So basically, all you have to do is, so it's belief plus expectation equals result. So you have to follow my instructions, and then if you follow my instructions, your body's gonna believe you. Okay, cool. All right, so All right, so I want you to close your eyes. Okay, so I want you to imagine. All right, cool. All right, there you go. Imagine your eyes are glued shut. So I want you to suggest yourself your eyes are glued shut. My eyes are glued shut, locked down like one piece of skin. Now again, I'm not telling you your eyes are glued shut. You're suggesting to yourself my eyes are glued shut. So if you imagine and suggest to yourself my eyes are glued shut, your body's going to believe you. So now, of course, you could open them. If there's an earthquake, there's a fire, you want to leave. Of course, you could. You don't always open your eyes. Yeah, for this exercise, I want you to suggest to yourself your eyes are glued shut. Hold on to that relaxation. It's like a door that's locked, a TV that's turned off. That's right. It's noticing your breathing, slowing down. That's right. Hold on to that relaxation in your eye. That's right. Hold on to that point where you know your eyes are so relaxed that just won't open. Now I want you to try to open your eyes. The more you try, the more they glue shut. That's right. You're really trying, but they're gluing shut even more. Test. Take a deep inhale. As your wave of relaxation washing down your body. Notice how good that feels. Come back to now. Eyes open. Cool. So you knew you could open them, but you're not because you're the one doing it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's like another. So let me do another one for you. Cool. All right. Cool. So all right. So I want you now to. We're gonna do a thing called fractionation. So fractionation is where you come in and out of trance, and as you go into trance, you fractionate. You go deeper. So I want you to imagine your eyes are really, really heavy. They're not glued shut like last. They're not glued shut, but they're really heavy. In a moment, but not yet, I'll have you open those really, really heavy eyes and find my hand in front of you. Eyes will go up, they will go down. And when you close your eyes, I want you to imagine and suggest yourself to try to deeper as those really, really, really heavy eyes. And open. Close. Very good. Now, as you exhale, imagine suggest yourself. And now, really suggest yourself your eyes are really. So in a moment, but not yet, those eyes will open. But when they do, they're going to be really heavy. They're going to be so heavy. They may not open, but they're going to be really, really heavy. When you exhale, I want you to imagine, suggest yourself like you're noticing your body, chair, notice your pulse going down. You open the spirit, blood pressure already low. Notice how good that feels. As you open those really, really heavy eyes. That's right. Notice how good that feels, slowing it down. In a moment, but not yet, replacing a single drop of relaxation. Very top of your fork. I want you to imagine this drop of relaxation flows down to the body. It's like liquid Novocaine. Literally relaxes your body. It's place that single drop of relaxation. Boom. There you go. There's exhale magic flowing through your body. That's right. Imagine it going down your arms, down your legs. And your mind's alert, of course. But your body's you want that right knee to be so heavy, so relaxed. I want it to be so heavy. That's right. So heavy as I lift it up, don't help me at all. That hand's heavy, heavy, heavy. That's right. When I drop that hand, I want you to imagine you're dropping into a deeper state. Boom, there you go. Just notice that. That's right. You might be floating, drifting, sinking into that chair. Notice that. I want you to imagine right now there is a door in front of you. It is appearing in front of you. It wasn't there before. That's right. Notice that door. That's right. Imagine there's a door in front of you. If there was a door in front of you, what would that door be made out of? What would you sense about that door? What kind of door would be in front of you right now? Good. Night door. Good. I want you to imagine, I want you to set the intention behind that door. There's a beautiful sacred place, right? Sacred place you've never been to before. Sacred, maybe a healing place, maybe a sacred place you've never been to before. As you step through that door, what would be behind that door? Get a sense what's behind that door. Just get a feeling.
Water.
What else?
Hills of flowers, trees.
You know, imagine in this environment, right? There's a presence, there's an intelligence beyond you you've never met before. Maybe a guide, maybe a spirit, something you need to connect with, right? Imagine if there was some kind of intelligence in this place. Where would it be? Left, right, in front of you, behind you, above or below?
Right.
Good. And if there was something in front of you, what would it be?
An alien.
You. Hey, honey.
Not your average alien. There. Look very different.
All it's all.
It's tall, full of light,
Okay.
long hair.
Uh,
Kind of looks similar to Avatar, but
Um, has blue eyes, dark hair, and a mixture of another animal.
Feel for
Happy, excited.
got a message for you today. Today, a message, an action step for you, something you need to know today. It's going to help you. What would that be?
Keep going.
What would you say back?
It
What would you say back at this?
just laughs.
So imagine breathing out an energy you don't need anymore, an emotion you don't let that go out of your body. Imagine this being is pulling it out of your body. It's as if this being is able to extract this energy that's holding you back, pulls it out of your body. You don't need it anymore. You're letting it go. And if you were to let something go, where would it come from? Where in your body? That's right. Where would you let it go from?
My
What does it look like as you let it go? Imagine it turns into something.
It looks and feels gooey coming out of my stomach. It's also very hard.
What emotion is tied?
Fear.
You want to let it go?
Yes.
Breathe it out. Imagine it pulls it out. Let it go. Let it go. Breathe it out. Breathe it. Notice that. Good. How's that feel?
Perfect.
Good. Come back to eyes open. Okay. So interesting, right? So you know you're alert, you're aware, right? There's a part of you that knows you're in this room, you're talking to me, right? Yet at the same time, you're going with that impression, right? So what did you notice about that?
One, the lights look very different.
Yeah.
They look, I don't even know if they look brighter
Yeah.
or they just look like my eyes have kind of became one with the light, if that makes sense. The alien that I saw is very familiar because I have made contact with very similar aliens in different of my experiences.
How is your mind? Like your mind, obviously your mind is more, we're not in like deep trance, right? So we're still like consciously aware. The mind's like, we're making this up. Is this real? That's okay. But you're also feeling. And I can tell you're shifting, especially when you're letting go of stuff. What was that like?
That was very freeing, and I feel that me just partnering up with my breath and learning how to be friends with my breath and just practicing that on the daily really helped me kind of go deeper than I thought I would go.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy because I thought it was just gonna be like, oh, quick.
Yeah.
But I feel like I was in there for
Well, no, and like, so we can do this. That's why I teach people is like, you don't need to do like hours of trance. You can shift your awareness with some self-hypnosis, right? So the eyes glued shut. You knew you could open them, but you didn't, right? The heavy eyes, and you're kind of shifting your awareness in and, using a door technique. So imagine a door. Okay. What is it? All right. If you step through that door, what would it be? And the environment changed, right? And then imagine if there was an intelligence there, what would it be? And you're like, you start coming up with it. You're like, we're making this up. This is real, but I wouldn't have come up with that. I wasn't expecting the alien. Did you expect the alien to show up?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So you never know what's going to show up.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to let go of. And you never, in the message too of like, I'm trying. And then I was like, okay, what does it want to say?
Right.
And it laughs at that, right? Yeah. So you kind of like, you begin to like realize, okay, like maybe my problems weren't as big as I'm making them out to be.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
So how did that small experience feel to you?
I just find these things awesome. So, it's not something that is new to me.
Yeah.
It's not something that I'm not aware of. And I feel that I've learned a lot on how to let my mind just give me messages and not fight that common sense part of my brain and just like being like, hey, like it's like I shut it off. And it was kind of crazy because I'm like thinking and I'm like, I didn't think I was gonna go that deep that fast.
Yeah.
And I feel like people just have to experience it to understand.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people they think like their mind is going to be gone and then they're going to go off to some other dimension and come back and be like, my clothes on, right? Like, yeah. So there's there's a part of you, the analytical mind, the logical part of us, always engaged. The deeper we go, the more we disengage, it begins to kind of step back a little bit. And it's almost like it's over in the corner and it's like, you making this up? Is this real? Right? But then you go, okay, well, that's the logical part that's trying to understand. It's not you, it's a part of you. That's where you kind of go, you're not the mind. This is where it's hard for some people to think, I am just the mind only. No, from a spiritual perspective, if we're spiritual beings in a body, then the mind is just a part of us. And that there's also the intuition, there's also other parts. So you begin to pull back and go, okay, thanks for your input. Treat it. So I always go like, treat it like a movie.
Right.
Okay. Treat it like maybe it's a metaphorical journey. Okay. Like you're like, is this real or not? I don't know. Okay. How do you feel about it? Are you getting some kind of answer? And maybe the alien being was a part of you. And maybe it's a part of your unconscious mind. Okay. Maybe it's an actual alien. Maybe it's bull. Like, okay, right. So that's where you don't have to like go into this, like, I need to prove that this is an actual alien experience. And then stuff's like really abstract, right? Some people go into like abstract dimensions and you're like, you know, you're talking about that like wizard, right? It's like, were you an actual wizard in a past life? Maybe. Or maybe it was like this alternate reality or dimension, or maybe you're tapping into something that you just, that's how your spirit was able to translate. So you just stop trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You just go with, what am I gaining? What am I learning? Right?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Sort of embrace it and just go into deeper thinking of what you feel. See,
Yeah. I mean, we don't know what it is, right? It could be a dreamscape, could be an inner journey. Like, you know, Carl Jung had, you know, this kind of active imagination, you know, but the unconscious mind, it believes everything and it treats it like it's real. And so the analytical mind battles the kind of intuitive mind. You just have to, you work with the intuition. And when you want to pay the bills and do your taxes and all that, engage your logical mind. When you want to deal with spirit, you deal with the intuition. You don't bring in the science advisor to teach metaphysics, right? Kind of like the professor, and, you know. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
yeah, I like how you put that because before I started my spiritual journey, for me it was just always logical,
Yeah,
and how you said about separating the logic and the non-logic and embracing that, meaning letting go of the wheel, right? We're always the logic mind is always going to be there. It's not going to really, you're not really going to know if it's true or it's not true. Are you making this up? How you explain? But it's a key point there that you said, separating the both and just analyzing that possibility, right? The possibility that that idea brings you.
yeah. Just need to just allow what's the knowledge? What can I learn from this? Right.
100%. I feel like that's what he battled a lot because he has done ayahuasca like 3 times.
About 3.
3 times, and every time he's like, I don't see nothing. I don't see nothing. Like, because I always tell people, and this is why I love this shaman. Is it really is connecting your mind to your heart and your heart to your mind when it comes to ayahuasca, and I think it comes with everything, right? And I had told him, I'm like, it's just like you're so logical that you have such a hard time wanting to like because you don't know what you're gonna experience.
Yeah.
So he has this battle with himself where it's like, oh, what if I don't like that? But sometimes we have to go through things that we don't like. And I feel like ever since we've done other psychedelics and plant medicines, I feel like he has finally grasped onto what it really means to let go of that logical side when it comes to the spiritual side. Because the logic and the spirit don't get along.
Yeah.
Like you can't mix both of them together. I mean, I think I would.
I mean, yeah, you have to you're like it's like a tightrope walk, right? So you're on this tightrope and like you're balancing yourself, right? You're kind of like balancing and you have to like balance the logic and the intuition. But if you go too heavy logic, it's like we've built up our muscles, our logical side, right, for so long. And then like we're so strong logically with our left brain, our intuition's weak. And you have to develop that intuition.
Yeah.
And you have to know when to use the logic and when to use the intuition. Right. And to realize that you've been so used to doing logic, that's your default mode.
Yeah.
And like, that doesn't exist. That this, this you can't prove it. It's not real.
Right.
Right. Like, the visual spectrum is like, so the visual spectrum is interesting. So if you were to take LA to New York, that would represent the visual spectrum. Okay. And then if I was in Dallas and I had a peanut in my hand, okay, peanut, the visual spectrum is the length of the peanut in Dallas in my hand. That's the visual spectrum. So we don't know barely anything that's going on just on the visual spectrum alone, right? Not only hearing and smell and everything, like dolphins can hear it, dogs, everything, right? So it's like the logical mind goes, oh, you don't know everything. It's like, you don't know anything. Like we barely scratch the surface. So just like stop pretending you're the smartest guy in the room and go, do what you're doing, but just maybe you don't know what you're doing. Maybe we don't know what this is. It goes, it kind of humbles the logical.
Yeah.
You're not as smart as you think you are. It's like, what's the Mark Twain quote? It's ain't about what you don't know to get you in trouble. It's what you know for certain just ain't so. So like, when people think they know it all, okay, well, that's when you get caught. That's when you think you know it all. It's like, nah, you got trapped. You got trapped in that, right? Even people that are in this kind of work, right? They're like the spiritual hubris, right? This overconfidence, like their knowledge is like, this is how it is. You meet a lot of people, like religious people, are like, this is how it is.
Yeah.
You got lost in it, right? Now it's like, okay, are you sure? Right? The Buddha talks about question everything, even question the Buddha. Like question everything, like even question myself.
Yeah.
Is this real or not? Right?
Yeah. That's what's
And I like how you bring that up, because, growing up, you were raised Catholic from your father's side. And on your mother's side, it was more of a spiritual, psychics, medicine.
Yep.
Can you elaborate to what that was like growing up, being raised religious on one side and spiritual on the other?
Yeah. So on my dad's side, Catholic, Irish, Roman Catholic, and went to Catholic school. I was an altar boy. 15, I almost became my grandmother wanted me to become a priest because I was like, she knew all this stuff was happening as a kid. Like, you got to be saved, right? So I became a priest, and I was like, I thought about it. Sounded cool at the time, but I was like, you know what? I'm not gravitating towards the dogma of religion. Having like my mom's super psychic, seeing spirits, seeing ghosts, having paranormal stuff. It's like my house was like Poltergeist the movie without, say, maybe minus the skeletons coming out of the swimming pool. You see Poltergeist? Maybe no. You guys know the old one? You guys see the old one? It's so great. It's scary. It's super scary. No. We're talking about like in the 80s.
Like 8.
Yeah, this Steven Spielberg did Poltergeist. It's a great movie.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's like one of those movies that like I saw it as a kid and I was like traumatized, right? And I'm like, that's like my life. I'm like, this is happening in my house. Like, so it's real.
Right.
So then, I think it just, the more I got awakened, my mom encouraged me to talk about this kind of stuff, and then just got me to a point where this was more real, this kind of the spiritual stuff we were dealing with. And then the religious part just kind of seemed more, dogmatic, and I just wasn't gravitating towards it. Not to say that religion is not bad, but even with Christianity, there's over 45,000 versions of Christianity. Crazy, right? Think about it. So I think the teachings of like Christ, the love, compassion, the core teachings of Christianity, I love it, right? But then it's the dogma, the rules, are these man created rules, it's more, I've learned about like shamanism and paganism and different religions, right? Mystical teachings, right? Like the Gnostics, even like Hermetic. So you guys you heard of Hermetics at all?
I heard of it.
The Kabbalion,
Oh, yes.
Hermes
I love it.
Trismegistus, what's also known as Thoth, when the Egyptian god.
Yes.
So Hermetics is really cool stuff. Like they were getting into like ancient aliens and like pre like ice age stuff, right? So
That's
now
so
we're getting
cool.
into like another topic, right? So yeah.
No,
So I
I
love
know.
good stuff. Yeah.
We love it. I mean,
So, cool. All right. So James, yes, you had mentioned ancient aliens. We, you know, in this 3D world, we like to see it as a past, another dimension, maybe a theory. But, you had mentioned earlier that we don't know if it's, this parallel universe, you know, timeline. Does it exist? Does it not exist?
Yeah.
It's an interesting topic because, as you can see, all my tattoos, I've done all the Egyptian
I
stuff,
like that.
which I've always found fascinating because the way or the way I see it is that, ancient civilization used to be much more advanced than it is today. What would you say that is maybe a belief of yours, or what makes you?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I would say from what I've experienced for myself. So I'll give you a little. So I had a first journey when I was learning how to do this. My first, when someone was regressing me, I had this vision of me going through this kind of doorway. All of a sudden, I'm on this other planet and I'm flying, kind of spirit flying up, and I see this giant stone carving, but it's like 1,000 feet tall.
That's so
And
cool.
I'm going up and I'm looking at it, and it's an Egyptian carving. Didn't know at the time
Hieroglyphs?
what
Hieroglyphs?
it was. No, it was a statue.
Oh,
So I'm looking at this giant statue, and then the message was like, "There's an awakening." And then I look up and I see an eclipse happening. But I'm not. It's not Earth. It's some other maybe dimension, maybe some other planet. And this is like maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I was like, there's an awakening that's going to happen. And it was happening on the planet in the solar system
Right.
at this time, whatever it was. And then later I was watching a documentary and I was like, wait, that's the same statue I saw. It's at Abu Simbel. And so there was a stone carving.
mm,
And I was like, wait, that's the same statue, but it was mine. What I saw was 1,000 feet tall.
that's
So
so
Yeah.
cool.
then I started getting into like, Egyptian, history. I watched, you ever seen like, Joe Rogan podcast? They have guys on there that talk about like the Egyptian, the stone carvings they have that are like the technology. We can't do it even now.
Yeah.
Like the way like they have the vases that are like symmetrical, perfect, like to a T. Like we couldn't do it with our own
Yeah, so you
technology.
can carve
And
it.
we're to say like ancient tools were supposed to do it. So Graham Hancock has this kind of theory. He's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah.
He
I've
talks
heard.
about Ancient Apocalypse. Is a really good series on Netflix. I like that. But he talks about, there's this thing called the Younger Dryas theory, where comet broke up and basically caused like the ice age, right? And so, so basically they're saying prior to that, there were civilizations, right? There was like, how old are the ancient pyramids, right? We think, oh, they're only 3,000 years old. We can't really carbon date them.
Mhm.
So they may be way older than we think they are. The Sphinx may be 12,000 or more years old. And so my theory is, from what other people are saying, what I believe is that the ancient Egyptians were far older than we think, that
Mhm.
it might go back 20, 30,000 years, and that the technology they had was completely different, and that the Egyptians that inherited the the pyramids were almost like the theory is they could be like a society or a culture that found it.
Mhm.
And you never see hieroglyphics inside any of the pyramids. It's only on the other buildings, right? So it's like, did the Egyptians inherit this this kind of technology, or in the buildings they had? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it goes far way back. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there's stuff that there's stones that are I forget, it's is it Baalbek? There's a place in, I think, in Greece or Rome, where the stones are huge. They're so big that there's no way we could lift them
Yeah.
up, right? And
That's
even
what you're trying.
yeah, I mean, so it's like, yeah, I think there's stuff we don't know.
Mhm.
They've scanned like the pyramids. They've seen stuff underneath the pyramids, underneath there's underneath the sphinx that they're
Yeah.
not allowing us to see. So
Right.
they, right? But I do feel like they. I don't want to say they because then you get into the rabbit hole, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you say it right. But I do feel like
They that's not let us see.
yeah, there's something that we don't know. There's ancient technology that we forgot, and that we're not the smartest. That's the thing is, we think we're the smartest. Like we've
Mhm.
evolved now. We got to the moon. Maybe we did. I don't know, right? I think we did. I mean, I don't want to go down that
I don't know. I gotta go down that rabbit hole.
I'm not doing that, but I do feel like we're not the smartest.
Yeah.
You know, technology wise, maybe with where we're at now, but I don't think with like other abilities. I think we lost those.
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that because when we embarked in our spiritual journey, uh, we were up in our meditation room, and when I was playing the drums, I had connected to, or I had connected to the Mayan times,
Mm-hmm.
and it took me up to the top of the, what I guess is considered now the Aztec pyramids.
Yeah.
But before the Aztecs, you had the Mayans.
Yeah.
And, but they had told me that these pyramids were pre-built, and they were just taken over by like the next generation, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I like how you put that in perspective, where we don't really know how old these hieroglyphs, pyramids, all this stuff are, because they've come from different times of being taken over, and then
Yeah.
whoever put the flag on it, they were like, "This is ours. This is built. We built it. This and that." But I never very interesting how you put it in that perspective.
Yeah. So we're finding more. I mean, we're uncovering more.
Mhm.
Like there'll be more, knowledge coming out. I think we're gonna like I said, Graham Hancock. I follow him, and some really smart people that have been like diving into like what really happened, and
Yeah.
it's hard to not lean towards that a little bit.
Mm.
You're still a little bit skeptic, but try to prove it wrong. Right?
Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, no.
And then you've also mentioned that in your path to self-discovery, you've uncovered abilities that were always within you. Can you elaborate in your path what that was like, and what abilities you were able to uncover?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all have ability, right?
Mhm.
I think we're all psychically inclined, right? Everyone has like different clairs, right? Clairaudient, clairsentient, clairvoyant. Some people see spirits, some people hear stuff, some people telepathic, right? So as a kid, it was encouraged for me to like ask questions, and especially my mom, I wasn't suppressing it. I think a lot of people, especially like, so we have religion, we have science, right? So you have families that are very religious, but don't talk about it's evil, right? So don't like it's evil. Don't even think about it.
Like magic.
Black magic, you suppress it, right? So it's like ooh. And then some people that are very secular or very like scientific based, where it's just logic. And even though they might have stuff, they dismiss it immediately. Like there's no way that could happen. Something could happen that's unexplained, but they just immediately just nope, that wasn't real, right? They move on. And then there's the group of people that are like more spiritually inclined. They're like, okay, well, it's not religion, it's not science. What is that? And if you can tap into that, then you're going to be aware of the synchronicities, the signs that are all around you.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I've been tapping into more of like a telepathic ability. So I'll pick up on thoughts. I'll pick up on like what my wife is doing, my wife is saying. But I won't necessarily know I'm picking it up. I might be like, I'll say a word and she's like, you like read my emails or something? I'm like, no, man, well, I don't have time for that, right? I don't have time for any of that. And so I'll know when I say something. I'm picking it up, right? But she'll do the same thing. Like, that's the thing is like, you'll notice like when, especially in relationships,
Yeah.
you'll pick up on like what you're thinking, what you're feeling. So like, I feel like there's energy all around us and thoughts around us, and we're tapping into it more. And the more spiritually open you are, you plant medicine, whatever, you're almost like you're tuning in, like your frequency or your radio signal is you're tuning into that frequency and you're picking it up. Yeah, it's like an antenna. You just put the antenna. Everyone put the antenna down. I don't want to pick up on it. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not afraid anymore. And you're like, oh, right. And that's for people, they channel, they're having really good abilities, and they're picking up on stuff that now they're aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
100%.
like whenever we enhance our frequencies, I'm always like the one that's channeling something. Whether it's like when I was playing the drum, I ended up channeling this Mayan drummer that was the top of the pyramid. When we went down to Sedona, I had channeled the
Apache.
natives from the land
Yeah.
that were giving me the messages. And
You're tapping into it. I mean, you're just like you're shifting your frequency. You're going into this internal state. You're dropping into this kind of alpha theta level, and you're basically turning on the I don't know, the receiver,
Mm-hmm.
and you're now going. I'm willing to listen.
yeah,
Where a lot of times we turn the radio off, turn on Netflix, and we shut it all off.
A lot.
Nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, you need to unplug, but a lot of us are unplugged
All the
all
time.
the
Yeah.
time.
No, I think for me is I feel that I've never really suppressed my abilities because my mom was also kind of like you. Like
Yeah.
my mom was very psychic, very
Mhm.
she's like, something's gonna happen and then it'll happen. And I'm like, oh my God, can you not? You know? And then with my dad, he was really religious. He was
Yeah.
Catholic. So how did that work? It didn't. So they're clearly not together. So that didn't work out. But still, it was kind of, I was able, younger, I would literally physically see spirits. And my mom would be like, you're watching scary movies. And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, this is actually happening. So then things started happening to her. And then she was like, oh, okay, you're not watching scary movies. Like, this is actually like, she will validate the fact that I was actually seeing things and I was feeling things. There's this one time when my mom recently had done a holy water on all over our house, but it was mainly on the upstairs because we had found out that the guy that was pretty much haunting us, he had killed his daughter and his wife that were the same age as me and my mom. So he was trying to like take my mom and he will literally choke my stepdad in the middle of the night. So like he would literally wake up and he'd be like, because he would say that somebody was on his chest, like choking him. And so I'm like, okay, everybody's experiencing it. I'm literally seeing this in person. And from there, I remember that one time my mom did that holy water cleanse. I had literally, it was literally like the movies, like when you go in and you feel like a wall is like right there and you don't even know what's going on. I was maybe 8 years old and I had literally like told my brother, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to faint. And he was like, he like looked at me because it was hot, but it wasn't because it was hot. It was just like, I felt like my whole blood pressure just went down. And my mom was like, what's wrong? And she was like, I don't know. She's like, literally about to faint. Not gonna lie to you, both of my nostrils just start bleeding like crazy. And my mom was like, what's going on? And I'm like literally fainting. And when I'm fainting, the whole house turned into what? Like if the house was barely being pre-made. And I was like, what the fuck? Like I'm over here like, I'm like, am I hallucinating? Like I'm like super out of it. And I'm telling my mom, like, why does the house look like this? And I'm like talking in between, like, while I'm also feeling like this. And at the end, when I look up, I literally had seen someone had done the face of the devil and they did like a ritual. And I like literally just remember telling my mom, like, oh my gosh, there's the devil right there. And then she was like, what? And mom's like freaking out. She's like, what are you looking at? And I'm like, almost like to the point that I'm almost like gonna have a seizure because I could feel myself like trembling. And I'm like, I don't know if it was the fear, I don't know what it was. And at the end, my mom was just like, start praying. And I'm like, starting to pray. And my dad used to always say, La sangre de Cristo tiene poder, which meant the blood of Christ has power. So I would say it all the time. Like, and I would just remember I was like closing my eyes and I had to go into like a meditative state to the point where I had control back of my brain and of everything that I was seeing and kind of like kick the logical side in. So I feel like I was really able to control the logical and the spiritual side very young.
Interesting. You're telling this story. Your dog is picking up on that story.
Yeah.
So you're like feeling the emotions and the dog's feeling your emotions. It's like, even though you're telling the story, there's a part of you that's remembering and you're kind of tapping into that feeling and that the feeling still is there, right? It's like, oh, what are we tapping into, right? So the dog's like, hey, you cool, right? You know?
Yeah, we found out he's the grounder.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, I had my mom got possessed when I was 12.
Stop.
Yeah, so that was an interest. That was kind of like my first like really like okay, there's something more out there. So I was 12 years old. My mom she goes, "Hey, she goes, he tells me about Ouija board. I'm like, okay.
Oh.
So I'm like, she goes, I could use a Ouija board by myself. I'm like, I didn't know what a Ouija board was. I'm like, oh, can we get one? She's like, all right. So, where do you get Ouija boards at when you're a kid? Toys R Us, right? Toys
Yeah,
R
I
Us.
heard about that.
Yes.
So I'm like, I love Toys R Us as a kid. So go in there, we get the Ouija board, we open it up, and so she can use it by herself. So she goes, let me show you. Puts her hand on the Palanche, I think it's called, and she's moving it back and forth. I'm like, whoa, and it's moving. I'm like, let me do it. And if you ever play with the Ouija board before, have you guys ever played with it? Okay, when you use it, if it's really you feel the energy, it's almost like you're not moving it, and the thing was going back and forth. I was like,
Oh.
this is cool. I thought it was cool at the time. So we got the Ouija board, got it home, and then we talked to this the character. Well, we use the board. All of a sudden, this guy comes through named Matt, and he's a Civil War veteran. Talks in like a Southern accent, so it's like y'all and fixin', and it's kind of using like kind of like a dialect. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm writing this down. I'm like, this is interesting, right? We finished the session. Nothing crazy. He wasn't like mean or anything, or evil that we thought of. That night, all of a sudden, lights start going off and on. We start hearing stuff in the house. Go to bed. My mom wakes up the next day, comes out. She goes, "Hey, I don't know what's going on." She's talking this Southern accent. She's totally like so. Whenever you see a head tilt and the eyes are a little off, that's possession. I didn't realize it, but I'm like, my mom's going crazy. She's talking in a Southern accent. She's like, James, I don't know what to do. She doesn't go to work. Takes like 3 days off. Things are going on in the house. I'm freaked out. I think my mom's going crazy. And then she goes go to lunch together, get out of the house. And she's sitting down at lunch and looking at me like, hey, I don't know what's going on. Grabs the salt shake, looking at me, opens it up. I'm watching her do this. Pours the salt on the table, licks the salt, eats it, and goes, what happened? So the salt kicked the spirit out of her, right? So I learned a lot about salt in that moment later on, is that salt is so powerful. I wake up in the morning, I have Celtic salt, I eat a little bit, some water, good for the mind, you get the mind going anyways, but ritualistically, salt is a cleansing property. So I'm eating salt all the time. I'm putting salt in my shoes. I got Himalayan salt lamps everywhere. For me, salt is like, get it out of you, right?
Yeah.
So take a Epsom salt bath, a sea salt bath, right? Ritualistically. But it's interesting because after that, about a month later, she gets in an accident, semi-paralyzed. She ends up losing her house. I had to live with my dad. My mom gets sick. Her life kind of spirals down after that moment. After 21, she passed, and then at 6 months before she passed, I'm at her house, and she's with her niece, and she goes, "We're talking about that story," and she goes, "Yeah, I still have that tape." Like, Dylan, she recorded herself, but she kept it intuitively. I was like, "You need to get rid of that tape." And she looks at me, and her head tilts, and she goes, "I don't want to get rid of it." And it was like that same character was still with her, never left. And so the moment she broke it up, burned it, then she got more sick, and then she ended up dying a few months later.
Wow.
Was it because of that? I don't know. But I learned a lesson of yeah, there's spirits out there that they can get attached to us if we're not shielding ourselves, protecting ourselves. So that just was a wake. Yeah, and it's just a wake up call. So if you're gonna dabble in that kind of work, is you need to know what you're doing and protect yourself. Not to say some people will be like, "Oh, I'm never gonna deal with that at all." It's I don't play with Ouija boards, right? I don't, I don't channel spirits. If I do anything, it's more I'm grounding myself. I'm with my guides. I go to a sacred place. It's all intentional. It's not hey, who wants to show up today? Everyone can show up, right? All of a sudden, everyone leaves the party, and you got that crazy guy on your couch. You're and you got to get him out, right? So that's the concept is be careful of the house parties you throw, right?
Yes.
Channeling spirits,
That
right?
is so crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I find that very interesting. I've always been a person that would frequently get like sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
With your background in like, past lives, hypnosis, would you say the two are similarly the same, or is that like a different concept?
I mean, sleep paralysis. What I've learned is that it's like a form of astral. You're about to astrally project. You're able to like go into this lucid astral plane, and people then get free, right? But if you go into it even further, if you tap into it, you can actually separate from the body and then go into an astral state. So that's why people will sense like there's a person in the room. Maybe it's a shadow person or something, but maybe it's also you that's watching you in the room. So that's kind of the
that's crazy.
concept, right? So yeah, so whenever I have sleep paralysis, I just lean into it. I'm like, oh, cool, this is good. I'm separating a little bit, right? But I've been attacked. I was attacked by succubus, which are female entities that like
Yeah.
that attack you spiritually. A couple times. This was a long time ago, and then I just realized, like, no, you can't do this anymore. And I like,
She was trying to make you her slave.
basically, yeah, like would attack you, right? And I was like, no, like you can't do this. And like she got like, oh, now you're in. Like I was like controlling it,
Yeah.
and ever since then, nothing's happened. So it's like once you are not afraid anymore,
Mhm.
once you're like, no, you're not going to do this to me. That's the power of it. It's not being afraid of it. It's like really stepping into your power. So,
Yeah.
That's interesting. What have you learned throughout the hypnosis of each client? Like, what is something that you feel that maybe everybody's going through in a sense?
I mean, I would say like with I think we're all dealing with something that we need to let go of. So, like, I mean, the work I'm doing right now, like my hypnosis is like the hypnosis I'm doing. I'm really getting you into an altered state where you can then deal with what you need to deal with. So, the hypnosis I'm using is get you into a relaxed state, guide you into this internal landscape, and then we begin to deal with connecting with guides and connecting with parts of yourself, and maybe you have attachments you need to let go of. Maybe there's parts of you need to connect with, inner child stuff like that, and then maybe past life stuff, right? Higher self stuff. So the hypnosis I'm using is to allow you to get out of the mind and kind of get some inner.
Right.
Yeah.
For you, what is your biggest guide?
I mean the owl. I mean the
Mhm.
owl is gonna be like my main guide came to me so about 16 years ago. So 16 years ago I was laying in bed and I was just laying there and all of a sudden it was like a lucid dream. So similar to like that sleep paralysis, lucid dream. So I was like in the room. So I knew I was asleep, but then I woke up in that dream. So I'm like in the room but sleeping but awake. Right. Have you
Oh,
ever had a
okay.
lucid
Yes,
dream? You wake
yes.
up in the dream, you're like, wait, I'm dreaming.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden there's this,
Everything's a little altered.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then there's a giant owl head floating in front of you.
Oh wow.
So I was like, what is this? And then, so I didn't say anything, but the download it told me was, you need to learn this. You need to learn past lives. You need to go back and do it. 'Cause I did it when I was younger. You need to go back and do it again. And, you need to study like shamanic teaching. So it's like this download of information. So I took that like knowledge and I did it. So I started like training. I started learning how to do all this. I got certified so I read the first book was Journey of Souls, Michael Newton, which is a great book. I ended up getting certified with the Newton Institute, which is one of the top regression, basically organizations out there. I'm like one of 100 in the country, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
so then about 5 years later, I'm like driving home one day and I have this owl ring, right? So I have the owl ring and I'm driving, I go, are you still with me? And I was kind of having this moment of like, kind of like, am I on the right path? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And I look up and all of a sudden I see an owl on top of my roof of my house fly across the street as I'm
That's
driving.
crazy.
Stop the car. I'm like, did I just see an owl Like I called, I didn't know it was going to come to me, but I see it, right? And then all of a sudden, I pull up to my house and I go ask my wife to go. She goes, "Did you see that owl?" So I was like, "Okay, you saw it, right?" So I'm not going
I'm not going crazy.
going crazy, right? So she saw it, and then so that was that moment, that like synchronicity, right? Of like I asked, I saw, and it wasn't now just vision anymore. Now it became like it actually manifested in like reality. So that now kind of blows my mind of like, wait a second, this is not on my mind anymore. This is maybe something real. Um, and then it was about say 5 years later. It was right after COVID ended, and so I was doing sessions in person again, and I was like kind of nervous about seeing people, like kind of like had this like cabin fever, like am I gonna, even talking to people in person, like can I do this?
Yeah.
And so I had this owl painting in my office. I had a casita at the time in the house, and so I was staring at this painting and asking, like, "Are you with me?" For 30 minutes, I'd look at the painting. I was like, "I need you. I need your help today." Right? It's been years since I've asked for it, but today I need you. And session, client knocks on my door. Things go great. I forget about that, and that was what I was asking for. And then I turn the light on to my casita, look on top of my roof of my house, and there's an owl sitting on top of my roof.
That's
And so I was like,
crazy.
I sat there, took pictures of it, 30 minutes, just stayed there. And that was that moment, right? That synchronistic moment of like multiple times asking for it. It showed up.
Yeah.
I was like, so from then on, Al was my main guide. Interestingly, about a year and a half ago, I was at the gym working out. At the gym where they have like TVs up on top. I was like listening to a book on animal spirits. Like, I was like, "Are you with me?" I was like, like kind of throwing it out there, like, "You still there, right?" And I'm like, I didn't expect an owl to show up, right? Well, on one of the screens, there was an HGTV show on like renovation, right? And they cut to the next scene. They walk in a room, and there's all these owl figurines everywhere.
Wow.
So I was like, "Whoa!" Like thank you for showing up. I'm going to be cautious about how I ask for it, but I realized that yeah, owl spirits with me. The owls, they see in the dark. There's a lot of significance with messengers and owls. So, yeah, the owl is my spirit. I have other spirit guides who show up, but for me, owl has been my like main avatar,
Yeah.
spirit guide that's been with me for a long
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Sorry. This little girl. Girl. Yeah. No, that's pretty awesome. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really about asking the signs and being able to receive the signs,
Right.
And sometimes we forget how to do that because we want it like right away, or
Yeah.
and we don't really put any intention to it, but I feel that everything really does lead to an intention
Yeah.
when we ask for something. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. And for our viewers, synchronicity refers to meaningful coincidence that seem to transcend mere chance, suggesting a deeper connection or guidance from the universe or a higher power, often seen as a sign of alignment with one's purpose. Some examples could be repeatedly seeing same number sequences, experiencing a dream about someone or something and receiving a call from them, or unexpectedly encountering someone who seems to be a perfect fit for a new opportunity, or for instance, and how you said about calling for a sign and getting that sign from the owl.
Yeah. What what do you think your guide is?
For me, I believe is a deer.
Nice.
I've always had a dream. Well, I get dreams or like, uh, yeah, I'd say dreams of deers just randomly popping up in my.
Is it a stag, or is it like a female or male deer?
That I don't know
They're like
because
the
every
big
time I
ones.
get it,
The stag.
Yeah.
The stag is it's like the heart of the forest. It's a very powerful spirit guide.
Yeah.
Stag is a really good omen.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny like the way that I always see it. It's always from like distant, but when I see it, it's almost not 3D like
Mm-hmm.
in the sense of usually your typical deer that you see has big horns, antlers, whatever you want to call it. But this one's more different. It's more like I guess in a reference to put it like alien like.
Yeah.
Like this one would open up horns and would have multiple kind of open up like a crown.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie? What was that movie
that I think it was something about the spirit of the forest, and it's literally a reindeer or a deer, but it has a face of a human.
Mm.
I don't know if you've ever seen it. I have to show you once we're done here. But that every time he tells me about it, because he says that it appears kind of like human-like.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell him, like, it reminds me of that movie. And I've showed it to him several times, but he's like, no, it doesn't look like that. And I'm like, I don't know that. I don't know how to help you.
So,
Yeah.
so you see my native painting there?
Yeah.
It has all those colors. Like it's a painted, almost like Avatar-like here.
Yeah.
But like the horns, it has maybe 5 to like 7 horns, but they're not just stuck in one position.
Yeah.
They open up like a crown.
Yeah. It's like half human, half
Yeah.
deer,
Mhm.
misanthrope kind of being. Yeah. So the mythology, right, of
Mm.
that. There's like, that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I mean, what higher beings have you been in contact with?
I would say I have been Athena, the goddess
Oh, okay.
Athena, actually, because the owl. So I was finding the significance of the owl, right? So I did some journeys, and I've had goddess Athena come, and part of me is like, am I making this up? Is this real, right? But when you're tapping into this energy, and you're just feeling like there's something here, right? There's something connecting her, the owl, her message, and when you tap into something greater, feels totally different. Feels
Yeah.
like you're tapping into some kind of like higher being.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I was meditating and I connect with Christ energy, with Jesus.
Oh, yes.
And I'm not so, but I'm not religious. I don't go to
Mhm.
church. I was sitting there and all of a sudden I had a vision of like Jesus was there. And it was like, and so when you have connection with your guides, I'm like, go, Jesus? I was kind of
Mhm.
questioning. I'm like, what? I go, I'm not going to church. I'm not going to read the Bible. That's what I
Mhm.
said. Okay. And his message to me was like, that's okay. I was
Mhm.
like, I go, but really, I'm not going to, I was
Yeah,
pushing back on
yeah.
it. And he was like, I don't need you to do that. And his
Mhm.
message was, it's love, it's compassion, be kind, love yourself.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, this message feels more authentic
Yeah.
versus like, I need to go back to church and stuff. So when you're connecting with higher guides, ascended guides, there's a feeling like it's something greater,
Yeah.
right? So that was pretty powerful doing that.
Yeah.
Right? We all have that ability. To tap.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. That's what I was telling him because I've been able to connect to
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, and he literally same thing he has told you is the same thing he has told me. It's very like the root of everything is love,
Yeah.
and just really tapping into who you are and not thinking that you have to control or be specific or do specific things to create or be part of this higher realm in life, Yeah.
Yeah. You say that we are spiritual beings. We've also been able to encounter other spiritual beings. Would you say that you resemble or you have embodied one in this human world? In other words, this is just my perspective, but you remind me of like a Pleiadian.
Okay.
So the Pleiadians, which are the advanced beings of the Seven Sisters, which their purpose was to help and guide humanity. Would you say you could feel yourself as a spirit being, or how would you describe that?
I really like take that more humble approach where like I think we're all divine beings. I think we're all like there's spiritual beings way deep inside of us,
Mhm.
but I don't like to take on any kind of like spiritual hubris of like I'm a divine being,
Yeah.
I'm powerful.
Mhm.
I think we all have those beings within us, and but I'm me in this body in this avatar right
Mhm.
now. Channeling or tapping into those beings that are a part of me, but also being humble enough to not think you're greater than.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I'll meet people that I think like they're like, they seem to be way more evolved than I do. I'll meet someone that's in their 20s, going, wow, you're super that big.
Mhm.
You're an evolved being.
Yeah.
You know. So I don't like to even consider that, like tap into that, like try to act like I'm special or something. I just feel like I'm on a path, I'm on a mission to like evolve like my consciousness, help others evolve their consciousness and kind of go from there.
Well, James, Are there any life-changing tools or practices that you've been able to use in your journey?
Yeah, I would say like what I've been focused on lately is probably kind of like some Buddhist techniques or some inner work. So basically, the tip is to connect your breath, right? Breath awareness. You guys talked about that, right? So you're taking your awareness from all the outside stuff that's going on. So like we typically like are so caught up in the mind and the thoughts and like what I need to do, and you're caught up in the past, you're caught up in the future, planning, and so you're stuck out in this kind of mind world. And so when you connect to the breath, you're connecting within, taking your awareness to your center. And then you take this awareness here and you begin to just settle in your body,
Yeah.
lowering your brain waves, trying to drop yourself into like a low, maybe a high alpha brain wave. And that practice, if you keep doing it, you take this breath awareness, connect your center, the fears, the worries, the anxieties, all that stuff is fade away.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the core of my teachings is you can't experience any of this if you're not going within, you're not connecting within, right? So a lot of people may have trouble, like, I can't meditate, I can't do this. You got to practice. You got to go within. And if you can do that, then all this stuff we're talking about, it comes to you because you're not stuck out in this mindscape, you're stuck connecting
Yeah.
within.
Yeah.
Right?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Would you explain, or would you say that's like the principle that you did describe?
Yeah, empty cup would be like, like we carry with us like all the stuff of my life is like in this cup. So all the past, all my limiting beliefs, all my history, everything is filled up in this cup. I'm carrying it around. And it would be like let's say there's an artesian well of knowledge, right? It's right in front of you. And I can't fill my cup up if I don't empty out the old stuff that I have, and I gotta choose to let it go. Do I want to keep carrying the stories?
Yeah.
Carrying all the stuff I have, all the fears and everything, but I gotta choose. Okay, I don't want it anymore. I gotta empty the cup. And if it's empty, then I get to fill it up with something new, right? So you meet a lot of people that are like they're not willing to change because and they can't bring in new information because they have their old limiting beliefs. They're stuck in their own modes, and it's a choice to let go. And a lot of times it's like forgiveness. You gotta forgive. You gotta forgive yourself. You gotta forgive others.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to be courageous and willing to like move towards your purpose. And like even if it's scary, you gotta move towards it. They ask people like on their deathbed is when they about to die. What is it? It's regret, not moving forward with whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. And so you got to let go before you tap into something
new.
Yeah. I like the principle because I believe a lot in this world, we hold on to that part of, love. Like a lot of us hold on to not wanting to love or experience love or give love because we've been, something along the way in our journey has happened where we kind of close ourselves up and we forget to let go, forgive ourselves, forgive our inner child. And, that principle really helps in identifying those things that we need to embark and transcend, right? We need to get rid of that old energy, bring in new energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, James, we're getting down to the last of this. We'll definitely have to do a take two,
Right.
go over a lot more things.
Yeah. We still got a lot.
We do have some rapid fire questions for you before we wrap up.
Oh man.
All right. So, first question would be, what is one piece of advice you can give to someone that can help them see beyond their limiting beliefs?
I think it's choice. So it's like you got to decide who do you want to be, or who do you want to be, and what do you need to let go of to become that person. So make a choice. First decide. Even if you don't know what you want, you would say, okay, well, what don't I like? Okay, I don't like that. And what I want to be, let that go, and then start moving towards who you want to be, and start doing it and be kind to yourself. You'd like to, what's a small action step you can take today to let go of the old and tap into something new? And as you begin to change that, the patterns change, and all of a sudden you're a new person. You're looking at yourself in the mirror, and you're a different person. You choose to, be kind to yourself, love yourself. And that's what I would do. Let go of the old, have the stuff to do. So, yeah.
Question 2. If you can summarize your journey and experience with hypnotherapy, what wisdom have you noticed or learned that resides within us all?
I think that we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, right? And so it's remembering that you're not alone, remembering that what you're dealing with today is just a human experience and that you're far greater than that.
Mm.
And that you just have to get out of your mind and tap into something, tap into who you really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most fascinating or surprising experience you've had as a hypnotherapist?
A lot. I mean, I've had entities attack people, me. I've had people deal with. I guess one quick story. So I'll tell you. Okay, so I had a past life recently. So I had a woman. So she felt like there was an attachment to her, and she was like didn't feel like it was hers. So quick story on it. So she goes into a guided tour into an inner scape, and all of a sudden she feels like there's something attached to me. I go, okay. She feels like it's not hers. It was like resentment and anger. And so she breathes this out of her. And all of a sudden, so she's in this kind of temple of attachments and she breathes it out. And all of a sudden, within this inner circle, there's this man and he's angry. He's said, I'm gonna bring you down.
Mm.
And I'm like, you know who this guy is? And she's like, I don't know this person. I go, how long has he been with you? She goes, forever. So now we're dealing with something
Wow.
great.
Yeah.
So then I have her go through a doorway and she goes to a door. And now all of a sudden she's Isabel. This is colonial America. She's Isabel, like in her 20s or 30s, cleaning a house, her house small. And all of a sudden, she hears a loud bang outside. Runs outside. Her son, Charlie, who's like 4 years old, got crushed by a cart. And so Charlie's dying. She goes up to him. She's trying to hold him as he dies in her hands. And then Isabella's like dying inside. My client's crying. We're feeling all these emotions. You can feel in the room. Guess who comes home? The guy that she breathed out. Tom is Isabella's husband. He comes home. So this was a past life attachment.
Yeah.
So he comes home. He's distraught. And then he starts to resent Isabella. And so he hates Isabella. He blames her for Charlie's death.
Oh wow.
And so now all of a sudden he's hating her. They don't talk the last 10 years of their marriage. He dies. Isabella then lives a couple more years. She dies with shame and guilt of everything that happened. And so Isabella's spirit doesn't move on. Typically we think we're going to move to the light.
Yeah.
She didn't. So she wandered. She became a wandering soul. And so I asked my client, I go, well, how long does she wander for? She goes, she still wanders. So we have to find Isabella's spirit. Somewhere it was like in Europe, somewhere on a cliff. So we're now taking my client to find the spirit to convince Isabella to come back, that we're going to be okay. So she comes back. My client helps her heal in this sacred beach. And then we guide Isabella back to that temple. She walks in and she, and the angry spirit changes until he forgives Isabella. She forgives him. They embrace. Clients like it's changing. I had them meet Charlie. So they meet the child and the family reconnects, energy shifts, they move on. My client's like, that is moving on. That's not her energy anymore. And she's able to release that past life attachment was a spirit that couldn't move on because Isabella's soul was lost. And so Tom's spirit, the only way to get back to her was to get back in my client.
Yeah.
So that was something recent. I mean, I have 1,000 other stories,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that's something that stood out to me for sure.
Yeah.
That's so
Really
great.
cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. Wow. I have so many questions, but we're gonna have to leave this
Yeah.
one.
Part two. We'll do one more question. If someone could only take away one key idea from hypnosis or hypnotherapy, what would you want it to
For hypnosis, I would say that all hypnotic trance, everything is self-hypnosis. We have the power to go within, change our brain waves, change our awareness, change our thought patterns. So it's a simple process. We do it all the time. We just don't do it intentionally.
Yeah.
So now you would do it intentionally of what I want to feel, how do I want to feel, and you drop it to this inner awareness. And you can then make changes. You know, you can do self hypnosis. You know, you can listen to audio tracks at night. But yeah, self hypnosis is really easy to do. Just gotta do it intentionally.
Yeah.
Love that.
Awesome. Well, James, we're at the end of the video. Where can our listeners find you, learn more about your work, and book a session with you?
Yeah, sure. So it's journeyofthesouls.com. So I do one-on-one sessions. Reach out to me. The website's pretty self-explanatory. It'll guide you through the process. I do it via Zoom. Also, I have a office in town in Vegas. And I also have a spiritual hypnosis academy, which is if you're interested in like learning more about this, like maybe getting involved in it or learning how I do it. I have a lot of really talented people in my community, and we talk about these kind of subjects and break down stories and break down how hypnosis works and break down like the details of what I'm doing, but like in more of like a learning community. So it's Spiritual Hypnosis Academy on school. It's on my website. So if you go there, you'll be directed.
For sure.
Awesome.
And where can our audience find you on social media?
Yeah, so my handle, it's James Guiry 333. I'm on, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I'm getting more videos out there, so you'll see more of me online.
We love that.
Love that.
Me too.
Guys, book a session.
Yes.
Follow James on all the social media platforms, and book an experience with him. Feel it out, try it out, do something out of the ordinary. And James is the guy to go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No, thank you
All right,
for
guys.
your time. We are honored to have you here on our house,
Sure.
and we hope to share many more conversations and
Yeah, we definitely got more to speak
More
about.
time,
it.
right? Yeah.
more
Couple
time.
more
So
times.
we'll definitely be working together more often. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Well,
All right.
thank you guys for tuning in to the new episode. We appreciate you guys for supporting us. If you guys can help us out by liking, subscribing, hitting that like button, commenting, sharing this with anybody you have in mind. We say nothing but peace and love to you guys, and we thank you for the support. We'll see you guys on the next one. You guys blessed up. Ciao.
Thank you.
So let's awaken the minds together.